So imagine you're walking through the woods. Maybe you have to jump over a log or duck under a branch. Maybe you even have to hop over a creek. But you're searching for something. You're searching for mushrooms. So today I'd like to inform my ladies from my Bible study, but also my Communications 110 class about 3 common edible mushrooms you can find here in Illinois in the springtime. My 3 mushrooms that I'd like to share with you are the morel, the oyster, and the pheasantback mushroom. So now let's explore each mushroom in detail. The first mushroom I'd like to share with you is the morel mushroom. I've been hunting them for years with my grandpa, but if you don't know what they are, I'd like to describe them to you and where you can find them. Morels have a cap, stem, but they don't have any gills or spores, or pores. They do have spores. Teresa Marone and Kathy Urich, in the second edition of their book, Mushrooms of the Upper Midwest, written in 2020, state this about morels. Morels have pitted caps that appear honeycombed. If you ever see a morel, you might think the same thing. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources goes into more depth explaining the sac fungi group contains a specific family known as sponge mushrooms. Morels are in this group. So that's the what of morels, but now where can you find them? I will give a little disclaimer, it's very controversial depending who you ask where you can find morels. Some people say you can only find them in a grassy field or only under these specific trees. My grandpa and I have found them in a grassy field before, but we've also found them under elm trees, sycamores, cottonwoods, and even the occasional fruit tree. Ginny, in her article Spring Mushroom Foraging in the Midwest that she posted on March 26, 2024, has some ideas of where you can find them. She states about morels, the best places to search in the Midwest are around ash, elm, aspens, and cottonwoods. So that's all I have about morels. My second mushroom is the oyster mushroom. These are more recent to me, but that doesn't make them any less common here in Illinois. Oysters have a cap, gills, and sometimes a somewhat short stem. Joe McFarland and Gregory M. Mueller, in their book Edible Wild Mushrooms of Illinois and Surrounding States, a Field to Kitchen Guide from 2009, explain that the name comes from the fact that caps often have an oyster shell shape, not the flavor. If you ever find an oyster, you'll be able to tell that smooth, rounded top that is similar to an oyster. Kathy Andrews, in her article Full Fungi from 2002, describes them in more detail. The caps of the oyster may be white, gray, or yellow-gray and reach widths of 10 inches. So where can you find oyster mushrooms? McFarland and Mueller explain this about oysters. Oyster mushrooms grow on both dead and living trees. And Jenny says this about the type of trees to find them on. They are commonly found on deciduous hardwoods like beech and aspen, but also grow on conifers. I know I haven't found any on conifers, but I also don't exactly know what kind of tree I have found them on in the past. It kind of sticks to more identifying mushrooms than trees. My third and final mushroom is the pheasantback. They are difficult to find when they're good to eat because they're best when they're young, so when they're still small and still tender. If they grow past a certain size, they tend to be really tough even when they're cooked. They're also known as the dryad saddle, and they have cap, pores, not gills, and a short stalky stem. McFarland and Mueller have another good description of this mushroom and its name. It bears a scaly, superficial resemblance to the backside of an Asian pheasant, hence the common name. Because they fruit at the same time as morels, they often get overlooked or they won't even be noticed. But McFarland and Mueller explain that they are typically large and shelf-like brackets. So if you find them, they just look like this little shelf on the side of the tree. So where can you find them? Again, because they're overlooked, McFarland and Mueller are the ones who can tell you where to find them. But they say that dead American elm trees are common hosts for multiple fruitings of the pheasantback, which is also the type of tree you can find morels on. So that is my third and final mushroom, the pheasantback. So I have now explored in detail the morel, oyster, and pheasantback, or for triad saddle mushrooms, and I hope that next spring you'll take the time to go out to the woods and maybe you'll find what could be your next meal.